Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on when you are seeing this, and welcome to day 3 of this 10-day experiment thing that I'm doing. On day 1, I talked about my own experience with these programs to sort of prove that I was a reliable source when talking about these things, even though my knowledge is not all extensive. It's as good as I can get it to be. And in day 2, I talked about the different people that you can trust and the different resources that you have and how you can reach them, whether by looking for signs or numbers or websites and just various different things. And today we are going to be talking about the first steps. You've finally gotten in touch with this place that you may or may not want to go to. You finally know what you're going to do. So how do you get there? How do you actually do this? The first thing to consider are the things that you should bring, which in my case tends to be just the basic necessities, enough clothes for about a week if you can fit that much in whatever bag you're taking, any medications you may need, any hygiene products you might want to bring, though a lot of places will have hygiene products available to you, whether that's shampoo, conditioner, soap, deodorants, razors, feminine hygiene products, toothbrushes and toothpaste, though maybe it can be a good idea to bring your own because these stockpiles often get shuffled through various kids as the years go on, so it's likely that something that you get there will have been used at least once, which, depending on the situation that you're in, will depend on how you want to go about that. I generally recommend bringing what you can fit in a bag that you know you need, especially if you're in school. Make sure you bring your school things, like any like if you have electronics for school, like your laptop or an iPad. A lot of schools are doing laptops and iPads, so bring that. Bring your necessary textbooks and notebooks and writing utensils and things. And anything else that you bring is up to you, but I would say don't bring anything unnecessary. If you don't need it to function, don't bring it. For example, let's say that you have like 5 different gaming systems at home. I'm not saying you will, but for example, if you have a PlayStation, don't bring it. You don't need it. Okay, if you're trying to get out, don't bring your PlayStation, don't bring your Xbox, don't bring all of the different video games you have. They won't be important while you're there. And honestly, the more expensive the things you bring are, the more likely they are to be stolen. Not to say that in every situation your things will get stolen, but it tends to be a concern, especially if you have very expensive things on you. Aside from hygiene products and clothes and school supplies, you should also make sure that you bring what money you have, if you have any, because obviously that can be helpful in situations. Saving your money is important. And as much as I want to suggest bringing maybe birth certificates and social security numbers, depending on where you're going, that might not be a good idea. Obviously, you don't want that stuff stolen. And oftentimes, if you can't get it at the time, you can, law enforcement can go and get it for you, or you can get it through courts, especially since a lot of the time in situations like this, especially if you're a minor, CPS gets called, whether you call them or not. They tend to get called. In fact, it's one of the first things that will happen after you arrive at this place that you're going to, but we're not quite there yet. The next thing I want to talk about is when you should go, and this can vary depending on where you are and when you're able to get out of the house safely. A lot of the time it seems like it's a good idea to go right after school, except it can seem a little weird to be bringing a week's worth of clothes and such to school with you. And not everywhere has lockers with locks, and you definitely don't want stuff stolen. Sometimes you can go before school if you can make it all the way up there. For me, I went pretty late at night, but I was also lucky enough to get dropped off by my other parent who I wasn't living with at the time. There's also opportunities if you know your parents will be working after school that you can go there. you can go then, especially if you know they won't let you leave if you are trying to leave on your own terms. But what's most important isn't, being embarrassed, it's making it out safely. Obviously, don't go in the dead of night, especially depending on the town that you live in. You don't want to end up in a dangerous situation, especially if you have anything on you that you care about, or anything on you at all, honestly. Either way, as long as you can make it out of your house safely and unharmed, and you can make it there without much trouble, then do what you need to do. Again, everyone's different, and not all places are exactly the same. I know for me, the safe house that I went to was open 24 hours, 7 days a week, 24/7. If you go there, there's always somebody there for you. And then once you get to this place, what should you expect once you get there? Most places have intake paperwork, and each place is going to be different. Something I should add is that certain items will be considered contraband when you get there, and they will be taken. That includes medication that you need, but they will make sure that they monitor and administer it to you. And if you have any vaping, smoking, alcohol, just anything that you shouldn't have on you. Anything that can be considered dangerous or a weapon, like scissors or a stapler even, but a knife or anything sharp. Tweezers, in fact. They don't like tweezers at my place. So it's really interesting what they may or may not take away. And every place will have different ideas about what contraband will be. During intake, they will also go over the rules with you, and they'll have you sign a few things that say you acknowledge these rules. They'll ask for your guardian's full names and phone numbers. They have to contact your guardian when you get there, but your guardian can't make you leave. You're there all on your own, especially if you're in a safe house like I was. They have to contact your guardian, and they have to call CPS. Even if CPS has already been contacted, they have to do both things. And every single place will have different sets of rules and different expectations. Mine was pretty much make sure you're making your bed and you're showering regularly and you're staying clean and doing your homework. Don't fall behind. There was a dinner time that was usually they wanted everyone to sit down and have dinner together to make sure that everyone ate at least once. They'd make you go to school, unless there was a good reason for you not to, like you genuinely being sick. But they would make you go to school, and they would make you participate in groups and activities. And those groups and activities I'll talk about more in my next video. But this one for right now is just about your first night there, really. Is what it's meant to be at the core of it. And your first night there is going to feel surreal. They'll kind of check through your stuff to make sure that whether you have anything or not on you, even if you told them you do, they'll check medication dates, they'll keep up on appointments, they'll make sure that they know your schedule so they know when you should and should not be coming in and out. They usually won't let you go many places, at least with the safe house I had. There were a few places you could go, like our local YMCA and our library, which were two pretty good places. The YMCA was mostly just for fitness and also the social aspects of it, and the same thing was for the library, is for the knowledgeable and social aspects of it. And there were certain times that you could go, obviously only while they're open, and they'd give you a little like a little ticket thing that you would go and you would hand to somebody at a desk to be like, hey, I'm here, and you'd have to come get it back before you left. This program, at least the one I was in, was completely voluntary. Most of them are. If you choose to leave, then you choose to leave. But if you have nowhere else to go, leaving is an unwise decision. They'll advise against it, especially after they know why you're there, which they'll ask you about during intake. But overall, it'll become your new existence, your new reality. And sometimes that can be a really hard adjustment, especially depending on rules and the way that you were raised and various different things. I know at my safe house, there was a rule where at a certain time you had to turn in your phone for bedtime, your phone and your devices. And a lot of kids really, really, really hated that rule because, well, it's my phone, why can't I keep it all night? And sorry, I don't mean to mock them. I just never saw a problem with it personally, and I thought it wasn't that bad of a rule. Is being inside at certain times, only being allowed to go certain places for certain reasons, and it was just to keep you safe. And in my shoes, I was worried. I'd been threatened to be kidnapped by my dad's girlfriend. She threatened to take me from wherever I was if I stepped foot in my hometown again and ship me off across the country. So I was like worried somehow she'd find me. So I was like, hey, staying inside seems real nice. And so your first night you'll be there and you'll be in this new space. And I remember I'd gotten there really late. My intake wasn't done until like 11 p.m. It was late. And I remember listening from my room to staff in the office calling my dad, who ignored their calls, and CPS. And I remember just thinking, wondering if it was the right decision, if I was doing what I should be doing, if maybe I should have just stuck it out longer. And, you know, it's scary and honestly sometimes horrifying because depending on the situation you're in, you may feel like nowhere can ever be safe again. And if you're worried about being safe, trying to go somewhere completely new with strangers, it doesn't feel safe. And this video is outrageously short because one, it's late, and two, I'm not talking about all that much other than bring essentials and make sure you can get there safely, and understand that while you may not agree with the rules, they're there to keep you safe, which are honestly pretty relatively basic things. And if I could go more into depth about all of the rules, I would, but I honestly can't think of them all anymore. Like, it's been a while. But like keeping things clean, helping out when you're asked to, following the guidelines they set for you. It's not anything outrageous, I have never thought. But again, some people will think, well, that's crazy, I can't go over to my friend's house. No, because you're enrolled in a program that's supposed to house you. You can't just go out places. And that was the same thing when I moved downstairs into their tilt program, is you can't just go out all the time. You can go out, you can do whatever you want, but you have to be home at certain times. And if you're not going to be, you have to let somebody know, and it counts as this thing, and you can only do that so many times every month. It was a lot of things. And for the most part, it's just clean and attend the things that we ask you to attend, unless you have a valid reason not to. If you're sick, they won't make you go to a group or to school. But it's just go to school, do your homework, attend groups, and keep your space clean. Do your laundry, that's a thing. They provide everything for you that you need, and they only ask that, like, you shower every day, which they didn't even really enforce that with me. They only said it because when you're dealing with a bunch of teenagers in one space, sometimes they can get stinky, especially with teenage boys. And you can't tell me I'm wrong, because if you have ever been in any space with teenage boys who have played sports or existed, they stink, and they don't always care. So having the showering rule only matters because of stinky teenage boys. Um, um, and obviously there is a keep boys and girls separate sort of thing. Like, you can't sit on a couch with two people of different genders, but that didn't always apply either. It was just like, if you were getting too chummy, they don't want anything going on, that, which makes sense. Like, but overall it was basic things, don't hide people in your room, which I didn't realize needed to be a rule. Some of these I'd never thought could be rules, or that needed to be rules. But it was pretty basic things, just like don't dodge staff, make sure that if you have medication, you take your medication, you go to your appointments that you may or may not have, that you clean up after yourself, that you're staying healthy, that you're staying clean, both yourself and your space. It was just general little rules. It's not too crazy, in my opinion. Don't break the law. You just typical household rules, I think, or what should be typical household rules of just, but yeah, I can't really say too much more. My next video will be talking more in depth about the day-to-day things. So about how schedules work, about the different groups that I attended, both in and out of the Safehouse and Tilt programs, and like the different events that were hosted that we could go to and do, because while generally it was stay inside, there were opportunities for kids to go out and do things. We took, every so often a group would take us out to the nearby park by the library, and we could do that. It's not outrageously complicated, and they will give you a rundown, and they will make sure that you understand it wherever you go, that you know the rules and that you know how their schedules work. My only advice after that is just pay attention and just know that you're signing up for a program and not just a new space. You can't live however you want. Some people take it as, yeah, no parents, but it's not. You're being watched after. There are people looking after you. There are rules you have to follow and things you have to do, because yeah, you're in this program for reasons, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna just stop being a functioning member of society, because their goal is to take care of the youth, while their parents can't. So yeah, that's my spiel about what intake kind of looks like, and how your first night might feel, how it might feel to go there, and the things that you should bring. And in my next video, which should go out on time, unlike this one's going out at not the right time. But that one should go out on time, and it'll be a more in-depth look on your day-to-day life within these programs, and I'm actually going to film that right now. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully, viewer.